Hello, Serious Survivor here. Today we're going to look at 10 more foods, additives, or products that can be stored for extremely long periods of time to indefinitely. These are either items that we can buy already prepared or already made, or we can prepare and make ourselves. Food is one of the most perishable items that one can stockpile. However, there are certain foods that do stand the test of time extremely well. That's because some foods contain certain substances that prevents bacteria from breaking them down. Foods that make for a very harsh environment for the bacteria will be able to last much longer. Some examples or properties of ingredients that can help preserve food are salt. Now, salt is a mineral that helps preserve food. Bacteria doesn't have such a drastic effect due to the fact that salt is a rock, just like granite, which doesn't go bad either. We just happen to eat the salt. Salt also pulls the moisture out of food, and dryness such as that helps prevent bacteria from spoiling food. Acidity. Bacteria have a difficult time decomposing things that have a low pH. Acidity makes things very dry, which isn't a good environment for bacteria. Toxicity. The main ingredient in alcohol is ethanol, which is toxic. Concentrated alcohol can burn any small organism or bacteria that happens to penetrate it. This type of environment isn't very easy for bacteria to survive in. Foods that exhibit one or more of those properties are definitely easier to store and preserve. Item number 1, beans. These are best stored in an airtight or bag or container and in a cold place away from sunlight. Now, beans are low cost and high protein food. They provide necessary fiber, minerals, vitamins, and carbohydrates. When stored in their original packaging, dry beans keep for about a year, but stored in extra secure packaging in ideal conditions, the versatile food keeps much, much longer. Store beans in sturdy airtight containers such as foil laminate packets sealed with a sealer, and this retains the quality of the beans for at least 10 years. With only a slightly decrease in the quality, beans do keep for as long as 30 years and longer in some cases. You can also store dried beans in the food-grade plastic buckets and other types of containers. Beans keep best though when the temperature is around 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Adding oxygen absorber packets, it helps remove the oxygen and ensures long-term quality. Store beans on racks or pallets though, or shelves. Don't place the beans directly on the floor. Beans are high in protein and very cheap and can be stored pretty easily. Number 2, pemmican. This is an item that can be purchased or made from scratch. There are so many variations of this recipe that we wouldn't have time to discuss them all. Basically, pemmican can be made to taste similar to anything we might like within reason. It was originally invented by Native Americans as a travel food and a supplement when other foods might not have been as easily available. And the reason it keeps so well and for such a long period of time is that the fat and the proteins are separated, then processed, and then they're put back together. It can have a very high nutritional value also. And generally it's made from the crushed powder of dried lean meats such as buffalo, elk, or deer, and hot rendered fat. Sometimes berries are added for flavor. But there's a multitude of different recipes or styles that can be used for making this extremely long-lasting and high-protein meal. Pemmican is easy to make, does not require heating, does not require refrigeration, and when correctly prepared with all the moisture removed, pemmican items are shelf-stable indefinitely. Number 3, hard liquor. Vodka, rum, gin, whiskey, tequila, and similar liquors will last pretty much forever if the bottles are kept unopened and out of heat and out of the sunlight. They might, however, lose a bit of flavor, but it'll take a long time for that to happen. They also double and make for great disinfectants when SHTF. Unopened bottles of these can last indefinitely with proper storage, but once opened and exposed to some air over time, pure-based spirits like vodka, rum, and whiskey will not go bad, but they could change in flavor. Now, liquors that contain sugar and other ingredients can also spoil, so watch for signs of crystallization, discoloration, or curdling. And remember, the cream types of liquors that have dairy, cream, or egg in them, they only last for about 18 months, if that long. Number 4, corn syrup. Corn syrup is used as a sweetener, but many people use it on a regular basis. If kept under the right conditions, it will be a great sweetening option when sugar or honey may be somewhat limited or unavailable. Now, you can keep this for a very long time, many, many years, and if it's stored properly, it will be fine. You can check out the Karo Syrup website, and they have a lot of the detailed information and specifications on these. But they also state on the website that Karo syrup is safe to eat for an indefinite period of time, whether it has been opened or unopened. If stored properly, it can be stored indefinitely. Corn syrup should be stored though at room temperature or a little less, and make sure the area where you keep the bottles with the corn syrup is dry. And once you open the bottle, make sure the cap or the lid is tightly sealed when you close it back. Number 5, pure vanilla extract. When stored or sealed in a cool, dark place, pure vanilla extract can last forever. In fact, it will continue to age like fine wine and slightly improve with flavor. Vanilla extract has a higher alcohol content than one may expect, and if left unopened, the alcohol will begin to slowly evaporate and the vanilla will lose its potency. Otherwise, if stored correctly, sealed in a cool and dry area, this one will be around for a while. Just make sure it's the pure vanilla extract type and not the imitation vanilla for the best results. Number 6, vinegar. Some forms of vinegar can remain intact forever, and this is basically a food preservative itself. It's commonly used in food preparation, in pickling processes, vinaigrettes, and other salad dressings. It's an ingredient in sauces like hot sauce, mustard, ketchup, and mayonnaise. It's often used as a condiment. Marinades often contain vinegar. In terms of its shelf life, vinegar's acidic nature allows it to last indefinitely without the use of refrigeration. It's also used widely as a cleaning agent for microbial purposes, beverages, and more. Ancient Babylonians were using vinegar before 5000 BC, both as a condiment and a cleaning agent. Number 7, hardtack. This cracker was vital to sustaining the soldiers during the Civil War. Even though it stayed edible for long periods of time, it was the subject of less than favorable poems, songs, and such, most likely because of its very bland flavor. For a food to be a good survival food, it has to be able to be stored for long periods of time without spoiling. It has to be nutritious, and it should taste good. Now, hardtack satisfies 2 of the 3 conditions. Once it's dried thoroughly, it will keep for years, providing it stays dry and away from pests. If you make it with natural and healthy ingredients, it's also very nutritious. And if you know how to prepare it, it can taste better than the average. But it's completely dehydrated. It's relatively light and easy to transport because it's so dense. It packs a lot of nutrition in a small package. This has actually been around since the time of Egyptian sailors. Now, during the Civil War, 3 by 3 inch squares of hardtack were shipped to both the Union and Confederate armies, making it a staple for most of the soldiers' rations. Typically, this was made 6 months before they shipped it, so it was already 6 months old when they got it, and they would keep it as long as necessary. Number 8, maple syrup. Just like honey, maple syrup's high sugar content keeps it from ever spoiling. It's best to be kept in a cool or dry place and in an airtight container. You can even freeze it. Maple syrup can over time develop a bit of mold on top, especially if it's not in an airtight container. But all you have to do is clean off the mold and then boil the syrup, and that will kill the bacteria. MRE, freeze-dried products. Everyone already knows that these are a long-term food, but the list wouldn't be complete without at least mentioning them. But basically, we're talking here about the type that you could make yourself. We know that we can go out and purchase them, but you can also freeze-dry your own food. And with today's modern tools and devices that can be purchased on the open market, it makes the process of freeze-drying food very, very simple. And this method and tactic will give you the ability to save or prepare any meal that you would like and have it available with just a little water and a heat added. The methods can be time consuming though. Freeze drying alone may not be enough, so you may have to consider mylar or similar packaging and vacuum sealing. There are many types of these to choose from, and most companies are very reputable and deliver excellent products. So the main concern if these types of foods are the right choice for long term would simply be the brand and the taste or different entrees that are offered. Number 10. This item is not necessarily a food in itself, although it can be. But this item is used to make sure or to ensure that we will have a long-term food supply if the environment is capable of producing such, and that is seeds. Now here are some information about the different types of seeds. I'm going to put a lot of charts up on the screen that show you how long certain types of seeds last and how quickly some go bad. And we'll see that the survival time of your average seed, if stored properly, is between 2 to 7 years. and some of them up to 8 years. So seeds will also be an excellent addition to a stockpile because, after all, we're not just looking to stay alive for 72 hours or a month, but if it's truly a life-threatening situation that is not going away, if it's an apocalyptic event, SHTF, to where there's no one coming to help and we're in this for the long haul on our own, then this could probably be better than all of the rest of the items combined, with the exception that with this item, it's definitely going to take a season before you're going to get any food. But at that point, you'll be able to reproduce this food and you'll have an indefinite food supply as long as the environmental conditions are correct. So that's 10 foods that can last indefinitely or a very, very long time. And hope you enjoyed the video. Got much more coming up on the channel. Thanks a lot for watching. For now, Serious Survivor, out.